auditions. Where is it? And I have no idea why I went. I've never crashed an audition in my life. I never have before. I never have since. And I go to this thing, and of course I'm dragging my heels, and I'm a little bit late. And I walk in the door, and as I'm walking in, the producer and the cameraman have the camera in the bag, under his arm, and are walking out. And I said, "Hi, can I audition for this?" And the producer goes, "Oh, all right. Come on in, we'll set up the camera." So, you're an Italian plumber from Brooklyn, and you're in a video game, and we've got this real-time animation system where you're gonna have these things glued to your face, and when you talk, you can say, "Hello," and that's gonna make the cartoon character say "hello" in the same time as you. We'll have a hidden camera, hidden microphone, so they'll just see the cartoon character. You're gonna be in a back room somewhere, and we have no idea whether this is gonna work or not. So if it doesn't work, you're gonna have to talk to people all day long. They're people of all ages. So make up a voice and make up a video game, start talking, and whenever you stop talking, that's your audition. And I'm like, "Italian plumber from Brooklyn, right?" He said, "Hey, how you doing? I'm under your sink. Don't bother me here, you know, or, man, I'm waking you, don't get out of my face, you know." And I'm like, well, that wouldn't be fun to do for 8 hours a day. And also, I'm a big believer in the impact that you have in every moment of your life. And so, I don't want to be the kind of comedian who, you know, is like, "Hey, what are you doing? Get out of my face. How are you?" You know, because it's like, people are nice. And when my first acting class, there was actually a guy with a terrible stutter. And I said, you know, as you know each other as actors all, you know, "Why do you stutter?" You know, it's like always the diplomat, you know. But I asked him, "Have you always had a stutter?" He goes, "No, when I was on my 21st birthday, I was at a comedy show in Las Vegas. And there's a particular very famous comedian who, you know, rips people apart. And they told him that it was my birthday. I had no idea. I'm in this room full of people. We had this dinner. It was a beautiful night. And he says, you know, "Hey, you got a special birthday today. Stand up, you hockey puck, you idiot. You know, come on." You know, and my friend was like slightly overweight, and, you know, he had acne, as we all did in those days. And, you know, and the comedian proceeds to rip him to shreds, you know. "How can anybody so ugly be born? You know, they should have taken you and thrown you away a long time ago." And every time he would be humiliated, the audience would laugh more and more. And he goes, and I wanted to laugh, but I was so ashamed, and I was so embarrassed, more and more and more, until I just, you know, crumbled, you know, and you know, everyone had a good time. I woke up the next morning with a stutter, and I've had it ever since. And I thought, comedy lesson number 1, never hurt people with your comedy. It's very easy to do, but it also has, you know, that impact that you have can be negative. So my comedy rule is just don't do that, you know? So I'm sitting there, you know, Italian plumber broken, "Hey, how you doing? I'm on your sink, don't bother me." But I'm not gonna do that accent. But I played Gremio in Taming of the Shrew in a theater production a few years before. And nice old Italian guy, talk like a this, you know? And in those days, I was actually young. And so, you know, it took like an hour to put on the wrinkles and the makeup. Now I wake up with them. It's very convenient if I want to play the oldest Italian guy in the world, you know? So, you know, so I'm saying, I can play something like that. You know, "Hey, how you doing? I'm a nice guy." I can do something like that because it's more fun. It's nice and it's gentle and not to hurt anybody. I just laugh about things like that. But video games, I don't know anything. I played Pong, I played Space Invader, I played the Waka 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 Pac-Man, and as my crossword puzzle this morning said, and Ms. Pac-Man too, I'd also played that, so it's not like I had no experience playing video games. But I had never heard of Nintendo, I had never heard of Mario, I had no idea who this was, and I'm like, but I am a brat. And he said, start talking and don't stop until you run out of things to say. So, let's see if he really means that, you know? And all of a sudden I'm thinking about all this, what to do, and I hear action. And I turn to the camera and go, "Hello, I'm Mario. Okie dokie, let's make a pizza pie together. You go get some sausage, I'm going to get some spaghettis. We're going to put the spaghettis and the sausage in the pizza. Okie dokie, then we can cook pizza. Then I'm going to chase with the pizza. If I catch you the pizza, you got to eat the pizza. Okie dokie. And then you're going to have to chase me with the pizza. But you're going to figure out what you're going to make the pizza. Then we're going to make a spaghetti meatballs and a lasagna. And then, you know, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I wonder if he really means to go on. And I'm enough of a brat that I've said, I'm gonna find out, you know? You know, it's like I'm like instantly I love this character. It's like, oh, he's just gonna sort of like, I'm gonna do this, and then he's like, oh, then we're gonna see if we can find the kitchen sink, and we're gonna get in the kitchen sink and then write it down the hill, and if we write it down the hill, maybe we can find something to eat. You know, I like food. You know, and so I kept going and 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 going. And during the process of it, I found out, you know, 20 years later, the cameraman said, do you think if we left right now and came back in a half an hour, it'd still be talking? And the producer goes, yes, let's go. You know, and I talked until I heard, cut, stop talking, please, cut. There's no more videotape. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Now, that was 35 minutes, by the way. We'll be in touch means to act, and that's actors talk for, there's the door, you will never hear from us again. That was not his talk, though. I walked out the door, he got on the phone, he called Nintendo, and he said, I found our Mario. I got him. And he only sent my tape up to Seattle, and then that was the only tape that made it to Japan and to Mr. Miyamoto. And 24 years later, I'm still going, Yahoo! Actually 23 years of absolute joy and wonder and glee. I've had so much fun. I work with the most wonderful creative people in the process of doing the games. Great directors. You know, we do a script and then we improvise and then we do things like spaghetti, ravioli, mamma mia. You know, things just come out of that creative process of joy and fun. And, you know, I get to do public relations and advertising and media things. And then I get to do the most fun thing of all, which is come to conventions and meet people who like games. And that's what I'm doing here. Why are you guys here? So that is a long version. As you can tell, it's obvious if you say start talking and when you run out of things to say. But you know, it's really fun, and I really believe that if you do what you love in life, and if you really pursue that, you know, developing your passions and your joy, you really do, you know, you can't paint, you know, the numbers, but you can do broad brushstrokes of, you know, the colors of joy, the colors of happiness, the colors of life. And if you want a lesson on how to do that, look at children. The joy is natural. They're, you know, before all the things of culture and society and all the different mores of different hierarchy of things that we have in our cultures and institutions that tell us how we're supposed to be. You see that the natural state is one of absolute joy and glee and fun and play. An adventure. Everything's an adventure and exploration. I think that's what keeps me going. So that's that.
Very nice.
That was the answer to how is your day going?
Definitely filled out the
blanks.
At this point, I'd like to open up questions to the audience. If there's 2 microphones down here.